There was an old monk bottle right on top of the fridge, and while thinking of the name. Good answers come in alcohol. I was a part of a reality show. I came to be a singer in India. My first show in Bombay was Coke Studio, MTV Unplugged. I've done David Guetta's show in India. Every fuck up teaches you. Yeah, one of them doesn't like it. One says, stop. At that point of time, Rashid, I will tell you, I was a much better planner than now. We used to throw success party at that point of time. I actually thought of starting another business, doing nothing. There was no shoot, there was no planning, there's nothing to do. So I learned hydroponic farming. If you're in a soup, shout out, I am in soup. When a good thing happens to your friend, you will be happy also. But at the same time, you will be thinking, why did it happen to me? I change as a person completely, thinking that I should not be taking anything inside this house. Now, if I don't give time to my kids, right, then after they grow, they are not going to give me any time.
Three, two, one, yeah! Go confidently in the direction of your dreams. Live the life you have imagined.
And the only way to be truly satisfied is to do what you believe is great work.
Courage is not doing things in the absence of fear. Courage is doing things despite the fear.
Growth comes from consistent action.
And you're realizing, hey, I'm not the only one with these problems.
Welcome to another episode of the BYOB podcast. I'm very excited to have Sandeep Menon here with us today. Sandeep, thanks so much for making the time.
Thank you so much for having me here.
I've got my first question for you planned the second we had this scheduled, which is you have to break down the name of your company and tell us why that's the name of your company, because I'm very intrigued.
Awesome. So, Fat Monk. There are two definitions to it. One is when I answer serious people, and one is when I answer like friends and everyone. So, serious people, I say that because I follow the ideology of monks, and I could relate with monks, and discipline comes with anything. So monk addition comes from there. Fat is because I always relate myself as a fat guy. From school to from college to everywhere. It's just been because Sandeep is most common name in India. So if anyone is like, do you know Sandeep? कौन Sandeep? अरे वो मोटा बंदा. अच्छा यार, okay. So it's like, so fat is an association which I loved. I never took it as a problem in me. I loved being fat. So it's okay. But because of that, I became thin over a period of time. It's like I got jinxed, kind of.
And what's the fun, jokey answer?
The actual definition came from there was an old monk bottle right on top of the fridge, and while thinking of the name. So inspiration of the name, if you look at it, has come from there. Like if you're thinking of what some of the other jamming, we were thinking what can it be, what can it be. Suddenly look there, old monk. Yeah, okay, fine. Now let's let's go for that.
I love that you gave us the real answer as well, because just like you have two versions of the answer, I have two versions of the answer as well. And
I also want to know that actually.
The second answer is, the first answer is, building a business is like putting a jigsaw puzzle together and you have to think differently. So jigsaw thinking, and that's the one that makes sense. And, eventually when I'm invited to do my big TED talk, that's the explanation I'll go with. But the real answer is I was talking to friends of mine for like 2-3 hours, like a friend of mine who's a branding expert. And we kept coming up with different names and we got fed up by the end of the day. Okay, thinking about these names. And so I went out drinking with another friend. And after we got drunk, he then asked me, okay, what was today? What did you get up to? And I told him, oh man, just thinking about the name. And he said, okay, so what do you want to do? So I told him. So he was just like, it's like building a puzzle, no? But it's a 3D puzzle. So instead of puzzle, make a jigsaw. And then you help them with thinking. So jigsaw thinking. And in like 1 second, he came up with the name after us spending, 8 hours all day. But I guess that's the magic of a few drinks.
Good answers come in alcohol.
Yeah, I guess so. And all the problems in Westwood also come.
Exactly. And some people need confidence to boost it up also. So there you go.
Now that we've done a nice little advertisement for the benefits of alcohol on this podcast, let's find out a little bit more about your journey. So Sandeep, you told me just before we started the recording this podcast, you said that Fat Monk has been around for 9 years, but you've been in the industry for 15 years.
Yeah.
Now, firstly, I realize that we've gone through the words fat monk, but we didn't go through the final word of your business, which is production. So, why don't you tell us a little bit about the industry you're in and the space you're in?
So I have actually started from Chennai. Actually, I was a part of a reality show. I came to be a singer in India, and I did my studies in Bahrain actually. And the moment I went to the show, what inspired me was the more than the show was the way the show was shot. So I
Mhm.
went out to the head of the production and I asked him, "Can I get a job here?" So he said, "Yeah, I mean, why don't you join
Wait,
as an
before your
intern?"
audition or after your audition?
While I was at the show. So
Right.
I won the finale. I was third in the show. So when I was
Wow.
at my finale, I was already an employee of the same channel which I was doing the show. I was an
Wow.
assistant
Okay.
producer.
Huh.
Then I moved on to do MBA, and then I started off. My first show in Bombay was Coke Studio, MTV Unplugged. I've done David Guetta's show in India. So a lot of music related shows used to be there. So production and music was like a win-win for me to get the best combination together. And then moved on to a lot of reality shows in Bombay, which is your Dance India Dance to India's Got Talent to Indian Idol, all
Nice.
these shows we used to be there's a group of directors who used to put this show together apart from the main director, which is your reality directors and people. So I was one of the directors in that. And then my last show was MasterChef season 4. Yeah, MasterChef season 4. And post that I thought that okay, fine, now I think one fourth of the effort of what I do here I can put up a kick-ass production for myself. And I took the initiative and I got out of there. I started off with very small shows. Terence Lewis was one of the people who actually can be the person who I set up my company, because of which I started off with his channel. So if you look at it, his channel, almost all the videos which Terence has done at that point of time, I'm talking about nine
Yeah.
years back. So those were the videos which I initially started off with, and my direction skills became better in that. I was a director, I was a producer, I was a spot boy, I was everything in that.
Sure.
So that was an amazing journey for me, and then moved on to taking up ad films and doing branded content space, which I think is the best choice I did, because every job I learned something new, and every
Mhm.
job, every production is a great learning for me, because with like I told you before the conversation we started, every fuck up teaches you. So
Yeah.
it is a great learning for me that way.
I really want to get back to pre Fat Monk Productions a little bit because I'm quite intrigued about your space. So, firstly, where do you get the sort of initiative and courage to, while auditioning for something, go and straight up talk to someone and ask for a job? Because that's just not a normal thing people do, right?
Yeah.
Normally, you spend hours, you build your CV, you say, when can I talk? When's the most appropriate time? But it sounds like you just went up, had a conversation, asked for a job. So, where does that come from? Has that always been your attitude, or it just happens spur of the moment?
See, I've never been a person who's feared to talk to anybody, be it from stars to anybody, because I don't have that fear. I think that everyone's human being, right? We all speak, we all have two hands, two legs, so we're all common people, so that's not a problem. It's just that I had a better access to people there, right? Because I'm a contestant. I could reach to the head of the channel, to anybody, and I'm talking to them. They are also talking to me. So no better time to ask. When had I been like a person with the CV waiting outside his door, he would have told me, "Ah, intern आ गया, उसको बिठा दे उधर." So so
Right.
that's like that will be like an attitude if I had gone officially. Whereas I told him what I liked about the show. I said these lights and these many cameras are making me excited. I want to know what is this.
Yeah.
I'm also a visual communication student, so I can understand these basics of it, but I would want to get deep dive into it. But okay, Aja, from tomorrow you come to office, then office come to office and say, I said, okay, no problem, I'll come. I think he was joking, but I took it very seriously. I went.
And you did. And so you said even before this that if I got it right, you were studying in Bahrain and you came to India for this particular contest. That's how
I
you Oh
I
wow,
did my
it's very
schooling in
early.
Bahrain. I did my schooling in Bahrain. I did my visual communication from Chennai, and then I finished my MBA from Bangalore and Mumbai.
Was it a family decision or your decision that you wanted to come into India, study, sort of work here, or it just happened that your family was moving?
You ask any Gulf boy, right? The main thing that his parents will do is teach him how to live, because it's like a very spoiled life there. So to learn life, father put me here, and then when I came here, like every Malu parents, they wanted me to take engineering. My marks were so beautiful that none of the engineering colleges, they said, I can give him chemical engineering if you want. So, so my father is like, you choose what you want to take. You tell me. We are already late in admission. You tell me what you want to do. I said I want to do media. So he immediately checked the course and everything. Visual communication sounds amazing. Okay, fine, let's do it.
Nice. Sounds like a good decision considering what you're doing with your life now.
I mean, a great decision. Yeah, I mean, trust me. Otherwise, I would have been 9 to 6 job engineer sorting out some chemical, some something over there. So I just didn't want. I never could relate to such kind of things. I've learned music all my life. So music has been like a. If I was not being doing this work, and if I was quiet, if I had bank balance in my bank, I would have never done any job. I would have sang. I would have become a singer.
Sure.
Trust me. And or something in music, because that world amazes me literally. In a way, the inspiration to start the company also, that I thought I should be doing musical stuff, but
Mm,
the format became overused, like singing shows, dance shows. It became
mm.
overused. There's nothing really new which you can bring into the plate. So I thought, let it be for right now. Let's go with the flow.
And so, how do you stay connected with the world of music right now? Because it's so clear. We've had this conversation, I don't know, 5, 10 minutes, and 60, 70% of the time we've talked about music, right? So, it's obviously something you're very passionate about. So,
Yeah, yeah.
how do you still stay connected with music if your work is not giving you that opportunity right now?
I take classes. I mean, I do classes. I learn with somebody. So I learn Hindustani music. And as well as I have two daughters, so I keep singing to them.
I'm sure they love it.
Yeah, one of them doesn't like it. One of them says, stop. one of them actually grooves.
So now can we talk a little bit about the beginning of Fat Monk Productions, right?
Yeah.
So tell me more about, we laughed it off when you talked about, okay, for one-fourth the effort, I can do it myself. That's why I'm starting. But tell me, exactly what you were thinking and feeling when you made the decision to stop doing what you were doing in such a great space. You were obviously doing really well, experiencing loads of different things with these shows. These are very well received shows that you were working on as well. So how do you go from there and say, you know what, let's risk it all, let me try everything by myself? How did you make that decision?
I think, Rashid, the main thing is when you start when you have a feeling that when you are going to create a new brand for yourself. I think that's a bigger inspiration than anything. So it is about, tomorrow, when what actually makes me happy is when people tell me, hey, I've heard of you. You know,
Mm,
so that's something, doesn't that's not easy. Trust me. You know,
yeah.
I have heard of you among the Hazaro production houses in all over India. It's not a small thing which you should be. So I wanted to be there, aspired to be
Mm,
there. So of course, starting anything, getting work, everything, every struggle, every entrepreneur goes through it. I mean, getting your first business, going and meeting 100 people, and then starting with the smallest business, and then taking up bigger billings into it. That's the struggle which you can't get away from. It's like a lonely road which only one person will walk, and only you know how it is to walk in that road. But for me, what actually inspired was, each production that I'm doing is my own production. Whereas earlier, all the production which I was putting up for, I was lost in the middle of 150 people. I was one among those people who used to be a contributor to that. Maybe credits may my name would have been there, but at the end of the day, what I was doing there, nobody knows. Now here I'm putting up the show. Every single ad film even if it is big or small, I am putting up from, I know the smallest person who I hire to the biggest person who I hire. I know what responsibilities is he doing, and that kind of it's a new job for me, right? Every day, I don't like doing the same thing every day. So today, if I'm shooting for a baby's product, tomorrow I'm shooting for a delivery brand. So,
Mm,
so the entire approach, entire thing is different. So that's the creatives, the people, the whole havoc of the production. That's what kept me busy, and I wanted that. So the initial
sure.
journey, coming back to that initial journey of Fatmong, started off with small productions for Terence Lewis and etc. Because he used to be a great friend, and I could shoot a lot of stuff for him. Later, I think what helped me was my own past work. I used to, in a
Mm,
way, take that work and show people that, hey, listen, maybe I might have not done work under my company, but I know how to do this stuff. These are the kind of work that I have
sure.
done. If you look at my showreel one, it's actually got more of my work, which I don't claim it's my work because it's other companies have done it. But I used to put the
Sure.
credits of what I used to do there, like an EP on this show
Right.
or a project head on this show. But
Mm,
that is what kind of got my first uh, ad film for me in a way that people actually knew that, okay, fine, maybe he knows his
yeah.
work and he wants to do it, and that kind of worked for me.
I mean, that makes sense, right? At the start of your career or your business career, it's not like you can say these are all the things I've done with the business because you're starting at zero.
Correct.
So you've got to be smart to use what you have to get what you want, right? And what you
Yeah.
had was your experience. So I think
Everybody
that
asks
that
you,
makes
what
sense.
have you done? I mean, that's the first question before they hand over a 5 lakh or a 10 lakh or a 1 lakh production to you. Also, he's spending money. He wants to know what
Yeah.
have you done.
Do you still remember your first project, that you closed, how you closed it? Can you still recall the butterflies in your stomach before the person said, "Yes, I'm going to transfer this money"? Can you walk me through the first project you closed and how you felt during that process?
So it was for this company called as Hashtag Fame, which used to be there in India at one point of time. They used to be the biggest digital content producers. They had around 300 plus channels under them. They shut now. They shut shop all of a sudden. But they are the ones who actually told me there is this channel for Terence, and you need to come up with content. So I said I knew Terence. So he said, "Oh, then things make easy. So then why don't you go meet him?" I said, "Yeah, I'll meet him." So I went and met Terence. I told him, "Hey, listen, I'm going to we're going to be shooting something for you," and it started off like that. I got my first check for I think 5.5 lakh rupees, uh, which was a great amount for me because at that point of time, Rashid, I will tell you, I was a much better planner than now. Because what happens is, over a period of time, right, you end up actually those small tidbits of planning which you do, like writing on the board and
Mm,
strategizing small things of the company, because you have only small things, right, at that point of time.
yeah,
Right now, you have a larger, like a huge bowl, and at that point in time, you even if your bowl is huge, you just have 4 to 5 pieces of pomegranates in that. You can actually count what you're actually doing. So that counting actually helped me. I used to write how
mm,
many videos in a year I have to do, how many people do I need to approach, how many like what is the amount which I need in my account at the end of 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, and 1 year. Every planning,
yeah,
every bit of planning used to happen at that point of time, and I think that kind of helped, and I used to achieve it. And I, like you have taken in one of your workshops, I used to treat myself at that point of time. Yeah, for
mm,
be it 5.5 lakhs, I party.
yeah,
Because there used to be a we produced a show called Miss India and Mr. India and all those things under the company at one point of time. Though our profits were less because we produced it, right. We used to throw success party at that point of time. Like, the success was not for the money. The success was for the name what we actually did. So those
yeah.
kind of stuff actually kept us going in a way, and that I still remember. I got the check and I told my friends, "Listen, brother, done, man. First business of Fat Long done. Let's party now." My roommate used to be my first colleague and my uh, co-employee. So we were the ones who were running the show. We had to come back to the flat and then buy a bottle.
Nice, of old monk, no
Yeah.
doubt. Nice. I always like asking, entrepreneurs about those early days because exactly what happened with you happens to most of them, which is eyes light up. Suddenly you're leaning forward in your chair, you're talking more loudly because, I mean, those were really joyous times,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
When
of
you think
course.
about the beginning stages. So let's not keep this conversation linear. So for a bit, I'm going to ask you to fast forward all the way to now. Okay. So you talked about throwing success parties, you talked about planning your week, what's in the account for the next 3 months. Are you still doing any of the things that you used to do when you just began, or what are the things that have got sort of lost along the way because your role or the business has had to change?
Yeah, I would say I am doing it, but the problem is not getting into the nitty-gritties of the stuff. I
Mm,
definitely have to do it to run a shop. Otherwise it's not going to work. I mean, some amount of planning has to be there, but right now it's about running behind what's next. Then that was more of a relaxed way, because you know that hitting the first business is a big task for you. Now, okay, now that you hit the first business, now you try for your next one. See, you've given you
yeah,
time to try for the next one. Here it's not about that. While you run this business right now, you're thinking of how to get the next one. Now it's about faster pace. I
exactly.
mean, things have become much faster. That's the only difference.
Mm,
In becoming this much faster pace, you might be less you might be less attentive to doing your own plannings. You might be giving less time to yourself. You might not be treating yourself that much because that's not the first priority for you. Just
yeah,
and plus maybe that was exciting because that was your first check. Now you've got enough check. Now you maybe that's not as exciting as that point of time. That's the only difference. But I think in terms of what I have to do right now, my spirits have never gone down, because if that's gone down, then this this place wouldn't have been there during COVID. Then I should have shut and sat. I actually thought of starting another business, but then what actually motivated me was like, damn man, 7 years. I mean, are you crazy? 7 years, and then after that, starting another business. So again, that's what is keeping me now. Also, like 9 years. What are you thinking? 9 years. Let's go on. Then
yeah.
so I've given like enough amount of time, and if I walked into this office, I'm giving my 8 to 10 hours every day. I've lived and I'm breathing this business in a way. So then I
Mm.
should be doing this and taking it forward the better way.
So let's talk about the tough time you mentioned briefly, right, during COVID.
Yeah.
So you said that at that point in time, you were considering another business, potentially shutting this down. Can you try and give us an idea of what the impact of COVID was on your business and how you sort of dealt with it? How did you eventually come to the decision to sort of keep moving forward? Did was there impact on the team? I'm just so curious about how you navigated the craziness that was the COVID time for your business.
See, my industry was shut, so there was no point of looking at business. Yeah, because
Mm,
there is no shoots happening. Then why will a brand come and give a requirement? So there was no shoot happening at all. I had to keep my people on. Luckily, what saved me, Rashid, my business model has been more of a freelance oriented model, where and that's worked for me because I don't need to every single film of mine. I have different directors coming in on board. I have different team coming on board. That way, I meet a lot of people. So that way, my fixed expenses, my overheads were not really killing me at that point of time during the
mhm,
COVID time. But at the end of the day, I made sure all the people who were there with me, they are going to be there, and they secured. And I think they've come on certain trust with me, and they're also in equal soup like me. So then if
mm,
I dissolve it, then they are also screwed up. Considering
yeah.
another business was only because I was bored. Because
Okay.
because I was bored, literally bored, sitting at home and doing nothing. There was no shoot, there was no planning, there's nothing to do. So I learned hydroponic farming. Yeah,
Okay. Wow.
let me explore a new thing because I like farming also a little bit. I explored it. I tried hydroponic farming at home, so it kept me busy. But then again, I thought like, just imagine now starting this company from day one, getting your first check. Just how much of a struggle it is. Might as well just shut the farming, go back to your same thing, just wait for 2 months. Everything will be fine. Just relax. I think it's just you need to console yourself, man. Otherwise you just go haywire everywhere. Anything happens even in bad times of business also. You are the only motivator to yourself. Like I told you, it's a lonely path. You are walking there alone.
Can we talk a bit about this motivation, right? So I know you mentioned that being on the shoots, things like that motivates you,
Yeah.
right? To do the 8 to 10 hour days, etc., and to sort of be known. I know that's all there in the sort of back of your mind, but on a day to day or every week, every month, do you have any practices that you do that help you stay motivated on this journey, or does it just happen by virtue of, working? Because when times get tough, I'm guessing that you need to be thinking about this passion and why you love it, etc., and it's not like all the times are going to be easy. So do you have specific practices about how you keep yourself motivated, or does it just happen on autopilot for you?
No, see, I think be it whatever it is, there should not be a day where you're free. Is what I just simple way. If I don't have a shoot, or if I have a shoot, or if I have a slightly relaxed day, spend that time on something. Come to office and make sure I spend 8 hours a day on doing something for Fat Monk at the end of the day. Whether it is business development, whether it is team management, or whether it is self management. At the end of the day, give that 8 hours a day, like how you do exercise a day, every day. It becomes a habit. Make it a habit in your life, and that's what is only motivating me. If you ask me, there are so many days where, like Saturdays, usually there's no much work actually, but I come to office on Saturday
Mm,
because I think that Saturday is the only day I get for myself. Okay, that's the only day. If you see I write diaries. And if I write, maybe what I'm writing, I might not even look at it maybe after writing it. But because I wrote it, it's there in my head. That's all. So that these are small things where I think how much ever we get into a virtual world, you have to do certain basic things like writing, uh, putting up your plan for the month, having an idea for
mm,
at least 6 months what you're going to do, keeping a tap of the finances. If you're in a soup, shout out, "I am in soup," and
mm.
and try getting help out of it rather than keeping it as a big secret. Because when you keep it as a big secret, no, you at that point nobody can help you. Trust me. Yeah, maybe just before you're getting into soup, maybe there are hundreds of people who are there to help you out. But when you're in a major soup, there nobody wants to even attempt to help you also. So be open, plan it.
So you talked about something very important, which is that if things aren't going well, to call out, ask for help. And this is something, as you know, we tell our community all the time, right? If you don't give people an opportunity to help, how are they going to help? So one of the things I wondered if you could be vulnerable about is, can you think of a moment over your 9 year, journey with Fat Monk where you were in, as you called it, in a soup, where things were tough and you called out for help? Can you walk us through an anecdote of a tough part of your journey?
There is a partner of mine who's actually exiting now. But my partners, we are great friends. I mean, we're good friends for like right now, I call it study buddy, you can say. So
Hmm,
I reach out to all my friends first. I'm a guy who reach out to friends and then family and then others. So
sure.
I reached out to Tarun, my friend, my partner currently, he's moved to Canada, and that's the only reason why he's exiting right now. So he came in. I told him, listen, brother, I am in a super debt where I need to recover, move, and then then catch up with my business. So now the thing
Hmm,
is, debt is something which, okay, fine, over the period of time we can clear it off. But moving ahead and catching up, I need help in that. Okay, so
hmm,
why don't you come on board? So he said, okay, fine, I will. I'm running another business. I can try and come on board, and I can try whatever it is. I said, no, try. I will. Let me offer you a piece of cake. Okay, let me. I have, though I have built it, whatever it is. There's no point of saying mine, 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 mine. No, it's not. It's a business at the end of the day. Yeah, so just
Yeah.
take a piece of cake and take a share and come on board and struggle along with me and take the pie also along with me. Yeah. So let's do it
Hmm.
together. So that kind of worked, and he said, if you're looking at a business partnership, then I will definitely give it a try, but then give me some time. And then he came on board only and only because all
Hmm.
this Canada happened and things happen, so he life has to move on. So that ways
Yeah.
it happened that way. But then like and even my there are a couple of good friends of mine in Chennai also. If anything is there, they say that no, when a good thing happens to your friend, you will be happy also. But at the same time, you will be thinking, why did it happen to me? Okay, so I sometimes I call out friends like that to see when I'm in a struggle. I say, hey, listen, brother, the market is really fucked. Is it same fucked for you also?
Want to know that you have some
Yeah.
company?
So he's like, yeah, it is the same way. Oh, okay, fine. So, so they also know the purpose of the call now, and they also do the same thing. Okay,
Sure.
they also, and I share or whatever it is. Like if my company is in a bad shape, I tell it to my friends. If their company is in bad shape, they also reach out to me and they also share. It's a nice way of saying, yeah, because no company still date. Even I'm sure Ambani's and the Tatas are also going through bad days. So then why can't we?
Sure.
So bad days are there.
Yeah.
Take it as a good way. I mean, trust me. Without a bamboo in your ass, no, you cannot go ahead.
Thanks, Sandeep. You've given me a great
Yeah,
visual to think about
yeah, you need that. You need
as we
that
go
push
through the rest.
because when you fall down, you know
Yeah.
that there's something wrong. That's when you actually give time.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you just keep going
Yeah.
up, then you're just saying, okay, fine, I want more, I want more, I want more, I want more. You just don't go look back. Ideally,
You talked about how your friends support you through this stuff. One of the other things I'm curious about is your relationship between your business and life at home with your family. You talked about having two kids as well. So whether things are going well or bad, do you tend to take your work home with you? Are you able to switch off and sort of be with family, or is a bad day at work, does that mean a bad day, unfortunately, at home as well? How have you managed that
I
dynamic?
think I've been self-blessed in that way, where I what I do is if I shut my laptop here, I go, I step out. I before I ring the bell in my house, I change as a person completely, thinking that I should not be
Mm,
taking anything inside this house because at the end of the day, that whatever bad day at work is that day, just that one day. But
mm,
if your wife and kids and the other people are affected by it, no, then it's just a domino effect. It just goes on and it's a nice thing to see their faces, and I just forget about all my worries when I go back home. Frankly speaking, I think zero business. Trust me, when I'm back home.
no,
And the moment the thing is that I make sure I come to office itself is to start thinking business. It's because I don't want to
sure.
think business at home until unless it's very important work, some delivery is happening, or some deadline needs to be met to follow up and check whether it's happening. Those basic stuff. But apart from that, doing a business development, calling people, setting up people, doing Zoom call, never at home because I want to keep that.
Wow,
I
that's
want to
great.
keep that differentiation because else I'm just going to be a workaholic. My like my daughter, if I ask what does your dad do, dad is in the office. That's all she knows. She knows, that's all she knows. Dad is in the office.
Another thing I'm intrigued by, I know you've called out yourself blessed, and I think you are, because I've had this conversation with so many people through this podcast and through the community as well. And one of the challenges they always have in common is switching off, right? And being guilt free when you sort of leave the office, which uh, which doesn't seem to be a challenge for you. One of the things I wanted to know is when you started Fat Monk, were you already married at that point, had a family at that point? Did things change? So you started while you
Yeah,
were single?
I started when I was single, and I
Okay,
was I think after marriage definitely there's a lot of change in it. You have to mold yourself to that, because especially once there are two steps. One is after marriage, and then one is after having kids. So Fat Monk has been
hmm,
through all these journeys, when I was a bachelor to marriage to kids to now. So this
sure,
entire transition has been there completely. I can see in myself, because it's totally different, Rashid. I mean, it's you have to give it time. That's all I can say. You should not get panicked, or neither finish it on either side, neither on the job nor on the family side, because it is something which is a new thing, right? So anything new in your life takes time to get accustomed, and once it is accustomed, once it
sure,
becomes a habit, everybody becomes into that habit. So just give it
sure.
that time. If you have a new if you have a wife coming into your life, she's new in your life, give her time. After a point of time, she will get used to your work, and then things flow by. Kids come into your life, they are new into your
Hmm,
life. Give them time. After things work out, then
hmm,
they will also get into your mode. So then they will only say, go to office instead of
hmm.
sitting at home. so so I think you should just wait for that. I think there's no point of being frustrated in that. I feel I have been through that. It's not that I'm giving an advice here. I have been through that frustration and stuff like that, because there are times, right, when you are actually wishing to do something more in your job, whereas you have to give a lot
Hmm,
of time and family. But then I thought that to a counter to that, I thought that now if I don't give time to my kids, right, then after they grow, they are not going to give me any time.
yeah.
So, so then I
Hmm,
might as well take this moment at this point of time. And with my wife, especially, I mean, because she's been the greatest support. She is. If I need, she's like a on the face person. If I'm doing bad, she says you're doing pathetic. And if I'm doing well, she has no reaction, because she knows that if she encourages me, then I will sit with that success. so so she tells
sure.
me, she will just say that, okay, fine, good, fine, that's it. So that so
Yeah, that sounds like the definition of
yeah,
tough
because
love.
she knows for a fact that if how I am, right, if I say that, hey, listen, for example, I'm having an interview today, I told her. So if she has said, "Wow, amazing! You have an interview or all those things," if she says that, then I'll be like, "Okay, fine, yeah, I am a big guy, man." whereas, whereas I told her, "I'm having an interview today." She said, "Okay, fine, wear something good and go."
What's next for you and Fat Monk, right? So over the next 12, 18 months, is there like a big goal in your mind or a big thing you're trying to solve or a new space you're trying to get into? What's next for you
See,
and
Fat
Fat
Monk
Monk?
Bangalore and Fat Monk Singapore. These are two big things which I am looking at currently. Bangalore work is already started, and I'm going to come to Viva Kuli, where you guys are there.
Yeah, we'll be
Yeah.
here to welcome you.
But Fat Monk Singapore is something which I am very keen on. I've started my business development people there, but that's a slightly more longer goal, probably end of next year, but definitely end of this
Sure,
year, Bangalore. That's for sure. Because I think Bangalore plan started when I was going to have my second daughter, and then after that, it just like I told you, it takes time, right? Second person has come, you need to give time.
sure,
So I said, okay, fine, close it and keep it for some time, because it's not of point to keep going, coming. Without a plan, there's no point of hitting Bangalore. Also, it just ends up me reaching Bangalore,
sure.
taking hotel room and spending some nice time, eating some great food, and then coming back. So I thought
Well,
I should go with a plan. I should come there with a proper thing. Start means start. That's it.
okay, well, all the best with Fat Monk, Bangalore, and Singapore. Of course, we're here rooting for you and cheering you on.
Definitely.
Of course, I think one of the things I also wanted to ask you, and would love for you to share a little bit, is you've been part of the Jigsaw thinking world for a few months now. Can you walk us through a little bit of what you're experiencing so far in your journey, what the big takeaways or the big highlights are, what's working for you right now with Jigsaw?
This word called systemized business is something which I learned after joining
Mm,
Jigsaw. So, because I'll tell you, my industry itself has a lot of uh, unorganized way of working in a way, because we there is no company which actually does like in a corporate, or maybe in a corporate there are, if you check roles and responsibilities of somebody, he has 10 roles and responsibilities. Okay. Whereas in a media company, if you see a roles and responsibilities of an EP, he might be also doing creatives also. He might be also doing a lot of
sure.
other things. So there is a lot of irregularities and things like that, which I was not happy with actually, and I was thinking how to get this all structured. And frankly speaking, with the Excel sheets that you guys have given as a samples, and with the kind of automatizations which you guys are talking about. I'm talking to Adrian also in terms of how to get my business, which is in this shape, to get it little more nicely organized and bring it to a structured way. I wouldn't have thought of it if I was not part of Jigsaw, because I think you guys are nailing it in that way. For an entrepreneur, I think when he starts off, business is like a huge ocean. Okay, like I remember, where do
Mm,
I start from? I mean, I have a website, I have a name. Now what? Okay, so now
yeah,
where? Now what? So at least if I had I met you at that point in time, things would have been much easier for me, because you're at least funneling it down and you're not telling me this is the way to follow. You're at least telling me these are the five things you can follow. Pick one. Okay.
sure,
Yeah, rather than saying
sure.
that figure it out. I was in the figure it out wala gang,
Mm,
where you today this is the right way to approach, then let's try this. Tomorrow that's the right way to approach, then let's
sure.
try that. Okay. So that's also a good way. I'm not saying it's not a good way, because I learned that different types of this thing. This is more less panicking for people, because at least I have a vision. Okay, fine.
Right.
For the next 1 month, these are the five goals which I have set. I need to approach this. I need to sort this. If I have not sorted it, then there is something wrong I'm doing. So there is a questionability and an
Mm,
answerability here at the end of the day to yourself.
mm,
So that's true. That's I think that Jigsaw is
sure.
doing a good job in that.
Thank you so
And
much.
the
Thanks for
one
sharing
more,
that. And
sorry to cut you. One
I
more
really,
good thing is you guys bringing in guests every week, and different people from,
mm,
maybe it's a problem for somebody which is solving it. And trust me, I think most of the people who are coming in as a part of that workshop at every week are going through certain issues of that, and that's why they want to know how to solve that issues also. So, like I
yeah,
was talking to Adrian this week, and I was telling him I want to automate things. I want to know more about Notion. Suddenly, you're going to be doing a workshop on Notion, and then I was like, so it's a problem solving for me right now. Getting it? So that way, it's a
yeah.
great thing. I mean, you guys are doing a fantastic job of putting up stuff together, man. Yeah,
Thanks so much. I'm glad it's helping. And yeah, what gives us joy really and gives us a buzz is when what we're building is actually being used and we can see
yeah,
it impacting. So
no
thanks a
problem.
lot. It's made our week when you share something like that, that is useful. Sandeep, I want to wrap up this conversation with a little segment we call Jaldi with Jigsaw. We've talked a lot about a lot of deep, important things. So we do this thing called Jaldi with Jigsaw where I'll ask you a few rapid fire questions and you just give me your gut
Lovely.
instinct
Yeah, yeah, I
answers.
love
Does
playing
that
this
work?
game.
Okay, cool. Okay, so let's start Jaldi with Jigsaw. So here's your first question. What is the latest show you binge watched?
Love stories.
What do you enjoy most about being your own
I don't
boss?
need to report to anyone.
And what is the worst part of being your own
I
boss?
don't have anyone to report it to anyone. Nobody guides me. I'm my own guide.
Okay, got it. I think I know the answer to this one. If you weren't doing this, what would you be
I
doing?
would have been in a music studio.
I'm gonna put a jigsaw. I've said this before. I'm gonna put a jigsaw thinking talent show together because a bunch of you guys are like hidden singers and dancers,
Great.
etc. We're going to put this together and
We can
get
do it
them
at
to
WeWork.
work for us. Yes, I know this podcast is now an advertisement for them. What is your entrepreneurial superpower?
I think the ability to connect and talk to anybody.
How do you currently switch off?
Just leave work. That's it. And I'm back.
What was your latest holiday that you enjoyed?
I'd gone to I'd taken my kids and my wife. We had gone out for my baby loves beach. So both the babies actually, one is too small
Okay.
and one is both are small. One is 2.5 and one is 8 months old. But then I put them in the water and they both enjoyed
Oh,
it. So I also love
oh wow,
water.
cool.
So yeah, it was a great holiday.
How do you want to be remembered?
I want to be remembered as someone who's I want to be remembered through Fat Monk, actually speaking, because I think a lot of people have asked me whether it's you or Fat Monk, you want to brand yourself. I said it's Fat Monk I want to brand. I don't want to brand me. There's no point of branding
Sure.
me. Uh, I can be known as a singer rather than being an entrepreneur. Yeah.
Got it. Who is your biggest cheerleader?
My father and my wife.
What three words would you use to define a jigsaw thinker?
Systemize, be punctual. You need to have some vision before you come here. You should not.
Sure.
This is not a place to
And
find your vision.
finally, what is a piece of advice you would give another small business owner out there?
I think every struggle, after you finish it, party. Because struggle is part of it. Struggle is part of
Struggle
it. Yeah.
party.
It's like a breakup party. It's like you struggle,
Nice.
and then party. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you so much. You nailed Jaldi with Jigsaw, and thank you so much for being so candid and
My pleasure.
transparent and joyful, during the conversation. That really came across. So thank you so much. Really enjoyed the conversation, Sandeep. We are waiting to welcome you for Fat Monk Bangalore, and then maybe, Fat Monk Singapore. We might not be there to
We'll
welcome
do
you, but
that.
we'll be
We'll,
cheering
we'll all
you on
we'll
for
all
sure
enjoy it together. Exactly.
and have a party.
Cool.
All
My
right. Thanks so
pleasure,
much,
Rashid.
Sandeep.
Thank you so much for having me here.
So I hope you enjoyed this podcast. We're Jigsaw Thinking, home of the self-starters. If you're interested in being your own boss, head to jigsawthinking.com or drop us a DM at Jigsaw Thinking on Instagram.